Uncivilized, Captain Nemo and the Legend of Dwarka. Chapter 8. Grace propped Nemo up in his bed and laid out the artifacts on a table for him. The captain said, "Is this the shaft of Krishna? I wonder. Perhaps a smaller version of it. I don't recognize the metal these objects are made from, and they're too corroded for me to tell with any certainty how they might have operated. But they'll be fascinating to study, regardless." "Jolly good, Captain. You'll have something to keep you occupied while you rest." Nemo scowled at Grace. "You should at least try to let me go about my regular duties. I shall get out of shape, and I have so many things to do, damn it. You've been on my ship for almost 3 months now, and still you don't understand all the pressure I am under." "Indeed, Captain. Pressure that I'm sure could not be made worse by a spot of lunch." "Or a cigar." "Oh, Captain, you're just experiencing nicotine withdrawals right now. You'll feel better once it's out of your system. Now I'll fetch you some food straight away." Grace made her escape before the captain had a chance to reply. Grace remained as patient as she could be, fulfilling her duties as his doctor, while also lessening her guilt at being the catalyst for his injuries. On her way to the galley, she crossed paths with Kaldu. "Hello, Dr. Evans. How is the captain?" Grace let out a deep sigh and rubbed her left shoulder, the stress of recent events causing it to ache again. "I must confess that day by day I begin to fantasize with increasing frequency about giving him another dose of Sephorix just to allow myself some moment's peace." Kaldu chuckled. "Not too long ago you felt that he was ignoring you. Now you feel that he needs your attention too much. Is that what I'm hearing, Doctor?" "Oh, heavens, you are quite right, Lieutenant. You must think me fickle and ungrateful." "If you are feeling frustration towards the captain after a week of caring for him, you can hardly imagine what life is like for those of us who have lived with him for years." "Truly, every member of the Nautilus crew must have the fortitude of a saint." "Any one of us would follow him to hell and back." "And you already have, from what I understand." Kaladu walked alongside the doctor as she headed into the direction of the galley. "Doctor, would you check on Mastani? I must confess I'm a little worried about her. She's not been herself lately." "How so?" "She's been more melancholy and, well, complaining, if you can believe that of her." "Those certainly seem to be symptoms plaguing the Newarker dynasty of lately," she quipped as they parted ways. The galley was 9 feet long by 9 feet wide, and furnished with a table and chairs in addition to an electric stove, cupboards, counters, and a distillery for producing drinkable water. A small electric icebox served as a pantry for perishable items. Waste could be disposed of in biodegradable sacks, which, when full, were placed in a chute set in the hull of the vessel and ejected into the ocean. After dropping the kitchen refuse down the chute and hearing the satisfying whoosh of the sack being shot into the ocean, Grace would race to the library to watch the marine animals swarm around the waste bag, tearing it apart to get at the crew's food scraps. In this manner, she was able to observe a wide array of underwater fauna all at once. Grace entered the galley to find Mastani sitting at the table, cleaning fish. "Hello, Mastani. I hope you'll let me know when you're done so that I can dispose of the refuse." Her light-hearted comment was met with only a sniffle. The captain's sister was crying as she sliced open a gray mullet and let its roe spill into a bow. "Why, Mastani, whatever is the matter?" Grace quickly pulled up a chair and sat down beside her. "Grace," she sniffled, "do you know about how seahorses give birth?" Seahorses? Mastani nodded, dabbing her tears away with the back of her wrist. A female seahorse. Once they've mated, will put her sacs in a pouch on the male. It's the father seahorses who give birth to babies. My Bahia also says that some seahorses pair up for life, like a married couple. Grace nodded sympathetically, wondering what elicited this tearful lecture on the mating habits of a genus hippocampus. Mastani continued, Men just don't know what it's like. I'm sorry, it's just seeing the eggs in this fish reminded me of what it felt like being pregnant with Deja. And it's so hot in this kitchen. I wish Baya would put a fan in here. She is certainly suffering from symptoms of menopause. Out loud, Grace said, Yes. Men can be quite apathetic, can't they? It wasn't enough that I lost my husband in the war, but with my daughter actively supporting her uncle in this belligerency, she turned out to be as militant as any other member of his crew. I fear she will suffer an awful fate, especially with this new scheme to decimate the Sadar district in Jhansi. Grace jolted in her seat. I beg your pardon, to decimate the what? Mastani's face reddened. I thought my brother had taken you into his confidence, Grace. Grace shook her head in disbelief. Not to any significant extent. I visited the Sadar district of Jhansi a few times as a child, and my family had many friends among the British military officials who were stationed there. Destroying the British offices in Sandar would surely ruin the Empire's influence in the subcontinent. So that's what your brother is up to, is it? He can no longer terrorize England's navy fleets, so he's going to torch the root of the problem. I shouldn't have said anything. Please don't tell Baya. I betrayed his confidence. Mastani started crying again. No, Mastani. I won't let him suspect I heard anything from you. Grace's mind was reeling, but she instinctively put an arm around Mastani's shoulder to comfort the agitated woman. It's quite all right, Mastani. You've done nothing wrong. Just at that moment, a message buzzed over the communication wire for the whole ship to hear. Grace gritted her teeth. It had taken her some time to decipher the code used to communicate across the vessel. But "Doctor to Captain's quarters" was a phrase she became familiar with all too quickly. She marched down the corridor back to where her convalescing patient waited. I thought perhaps you'd chosen to go on holiday, Doctor, Nemo grumbled. Captain Nemo, what is your interest in ancient weapons, really? Don't give me that balderdash about the pursuit of knowledge giving you the upper hand in the fight against tyranny. Who have you been talking to? It doesn't matter. I've been tirelessly tending to your every need, and yet it seems that you still wouldn't show me the basic decency to tell me that you're going to attack Jhansi. How dare you speak to me so? He winced with pain as he sat up on his bed. Doctor, you made it very clear that you wanted no part in any act of war. But I would at least like to be informed of what you are planning. How can a crewman serve under a captain who won't bloody communicate? That is not becoming language for a nice Christian lady. Oh, go ahead, lecture me, Captain. At least I can jolly well convey to others what is on my mind, instead of incoherently crying for attention in my room like an unweaned infant. Captain Nemo stared at her, eyes smoldering with rage. Grace clapped a hand over her mouth, realizing she had gone too far. Consuelo peeked in at the open door. Captain? Doctor? I thought I heard shouting, and I just wanted to make sure everything was all right. Nemo composed himself and said, Yes, Consuelo. Dr. Evans and I was just Debating something. Debating? What was it about? You are excused, Gonzalo. The sailor got the hint and hurried off. Grace turned once more to the captain, her face flushed. Captain, That is quite enough, Doctor. I don't believe your services are needed for the rest of the day. Good sense led Grace across the hallway to her quarters. Grace was surprised by a knock at the door in the early hours of the morning. A confused Gonzalo stood outside, unshaven and hair disheveled. The captain wishes to see you. Said he required your services immediately. Thank you, Gonzalo. I will see him, Grace said drowsily. She hastened to the captain's quarters and found him sitting upright in his bed with a stoic expression on his face. Sleep evades me, Doctor. Bring me something to eat. Grace was taken aback by Nemo's abrupt order. At this hour, Captain? I must be mistaken. I am not speaking to the chief medical officer of the Nautilus crew. Gonzalo told me to come see you. That means you walked past the galley just to go to the crew's quarters. If you're going to punish me by circuitous means, could you at least have the decency to not involve the crew in our quarrel? Oh, yes. I forgot what an unfit captain I am. I should have remained in my room and cried for you like an unweaned infant. Grace's eyelid twitched. She turned abruptly, her face clenched, and stormed out of the captain's quarters. Sinking down on the bed, Nemo sighed deeply. What have I done to deserve enduring this woman's presence on board? A few minutes later, Nemo jolted as his door burst open once more, and Grace entered. She briskly set a cup of tea on his nightstand, causing some of the liquid to slosh over the side. She handed him a plate of cold, leftover prawn curry. I thought you'd gone back to bed, he said with a frown. Consider this my apology for having spoken rudely to you yesterday. But don't ask for any more favors from me unless you're dying. Where did you get this tea? It's my own stash. Ashwagandha. I don't drink tea. I don't need anything grown on land. The ocean provides for all our needs. Terrestrial plants are irreplaceable for their medicinal value. Drink it or don't. I don't care. No sooner had Grace closed the door behind her than Captain Nemo set to eating the prawns and drank the entire cup of tea, muttering to himself the entire time about how incompetently the doctor had brewed it. Only once during the following day did Nemo call for Grace. She sent Gonzalo to see the captain, refusing to pander to any more petty requests. She went about her work that day with resentment towards Nemo simmering on the back burner of her mind. When she retired to her room that following evening, her shoulder ached with tension, making it hard for her to sleep. No sooner had she done so than she jolted up in bed as a sharp cry rang out from the adjoining room. Putting on her spectacles and squinting at the clock, she saw it was the middle of the night. Further faint tones of distress caused her to leap to her feet and hasten to the captain's quarters. Shanti, the captain murmured. He was still sleeping, but his face contorted with a pain deeper than his physical injuries. It was an expression Grace herself had become all too familiar with after witnessing the death of her parents. As she hesitantly stepped forward, she could see the beads of sweat on his brow and hear his sharp, frantic inhalations. A few sharp movements of the sleeping captain confirmed Grace's suspicion. He was experiencing night terrors. Pulling a chair to the side of the bed, Grace began to pray quietly. When the captain would groan or twitch, she would speak in soft, reassuring tones until he had settled. Eventually his breathing slowed, and Grace heaved a sigh of relief, hoping to return to her own bed once she could be certain he rested soundly. One last jolt awoke Nemo from his restless slumber, and he was surprised to find Grace at his side. "Doctor?" "Captain, are you all right?" "What would make you think otherwise?" "My apologies. You were sleeping quite restlessly, Captain. I was concerned for you." Though Nemo could not fully recall what horrors had plagued him in his sleep, he could easily imagine what Grace might have heard. "I didn't mean to evoke your concern, Dr. Evans. You forget that I ran a medical clinic. I'm used to this sort of thing." He sighed and sat up. After a moment of silence, he said, "Tell me, Doctor, do you see me as a monster for planning to raise the Sadar district?" She hesitated. No, Captain. I don't think you're a monster. The district is, in essence, a military base, and attacking it would be an act of war. Am I supportive of this endeavor? No, but I cannot judge you either." "Fair enough." He pointed to a leather-bound book on his desk. "Open that journal." She lifted the book from his desk and flipped through it. It contained a variety of sketches from strange vehicles copied from ancient manuscripts, other pages containing speculative blueprints of how the vehicles might have operated. Notes were scribbled in 2 different handwritings, the captain's and Rober's. He explained, "Rober and I have been attempting to decipher how the ancients traveled by airship. Once we are able to see the Vimana, and if the priests of the shrine which guard it allow us to study their documents, I'm confident we will be able to reverse engineer the vessel and build our own. It would be an airship of war from which the rebels could launch an aerial attack and finally gain the upper hand against the British." "Does this mean you intend to return to the shrine to negotiate with the priests?" "Yes, exactly. It may prove futile, but I'm willing to try again for the sake of the revolution." "Would you leave your Nautilus to command the airship, Captain? I cannot imagine you doing that. The Nautilus is not just a warship. It is your home as well as a vehicle of discovery." "You are quite right. I would leave the Vimana in the hands of my protégés. Rober wishes to captain an airship, but I have hopes he will remain with me on the Nautilus. He is a brilliant young man, but too hot-headed, I'm afraid, to take on more responsibility at present. Thus I have considered Arjuna Dakar a likely candidate, as he is already leading our terrestrial allies in India." Grace sat down in a chair, processing the information. Finally, she nodded. "You have my loyalty, Captain." "I'm glad to hear it, Dr. Evans. And I will come with you when you negotiate with the priests." Nemo blinked and put a hand to his temples. "Are you mad, woman? After what happened in Dwarka?" "I've learned my lesson, Captain. Besides, this foray will be on land, and that alone will reduce the dangers we face. Furthermore, think of what might happen if your crew falls ill again or gets injured. You'll need a medic." "I'll consider it, Doctor. Do not get your hopes up." Grace stood with a smile, returning her chair to its place. "It's time you got some rest. Thank you for trusting me, Captain. It did feel, in a way, ironic that I had to change your undergarments, and still you wouldn't confide in me." Her words were cut off as Captain Nemo gasped. "You did what?" "Oh, it was only at first, while you were unconscious. Consuelos helped me." "Please stop talking, Doctor." "Oh dear, I didn't mean to embarrass you. It's nothing I haven't done hundreds of times before as a doctor. You've got a fine physique, Captain, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. The door is that way, Doctor. Jolly good, Captain. So quoth this raven. That was a fun ending to the chapter. I hope you all are having a lovely, lovely week. My house is breaking down one appliance at a time, but I'm still smiling through it. Anyway, I love you all, my darlings. Bye-bye.